always make a cheat sheet for every review. And the reviews come in two types. Ones with very short cheat sheets and ones with very long ones. And the short ones, again, come in two types. Movies that are so bad, they usually don't even get a review. Or the really good ones. And guess, today I have half a page. As you can guess, this is a good one. The film is called Belle from 2013. I think this British movie, and I think this is the way to make an historical movie about historical people the right way, the way Napoleon should have been. It definitely wasn't. They started off with a character that is not that well known in the world, for which they basically had some statistics, a name, where she came from, who she married, children, and a beautiful painting. And the painting is that one of two sisters. So you have your basic stats and you have this painting, and basically they told a writer to just write a story of how this could have gone with these people in it. And this writer, oh God, I'm just looking at all the names, and most of them are going to be. I'm not going to mispronounce it, so they're going to be here. A writer took the idea of the time and what was going on at the time, what would have been going on with this young lady. The lady was called Dido Belle. She'll be called Dido because her cousin, the other one in the picture, is also Elizabeth. So that one is called Elizabeth and this one is called Dido. They are cousins once removed, both taken in by an uncle. Dido because she is a half. I'm not even sure what kind of black she is. Something Caribbean probably, because English. Her father was white, and I think like a brother to this uncle. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. She ends up with this uncle, and the father, he's in the Navy and he doesn't come back. It's not a spoiler. He doesn't come back. He just drops her off as a little girl in England. And they already have another girl from another part of the family. So neither of these children are the daughters of this uncle. But the uncle and the aunt actually take up both children as daughters. They don't officially do that because you didn't do it in that way, but they do everything that you need to do for a daughter, which is, I think, was very commendable. The uncle is something high in the judiciary. He's a judge I believe, in the High Court. So all of this is historical. All of this is actually true, which makes this movie wonderful because she is now in that household. She grows up there, and the important thing that happens is that before his docket comes a real case of the Zong Ship. If it had been a fake case, they would have given the ship a different name. But the name of the ship was Zong, so therefore it is Zong. A slaver ship, who ran out of water and had to jettison the cargo, slaves, because otherwise everybody would have died. And they're claiming on the insurance, because the load was insured, they want the insurance to pay for this, because loss of revenue. Of course, so many people who are dead is not an issue, it's about money. And that's what, realistically, cases are often about. Human interest cases are often about money, a lot of money. And the insurance company says, nope, we don't want to pay. And they take it all the way to this Supreme Court person. And that's kind of a spoiler for the movie, but I don't think it is really that much of a spoiler. Because the case is in 1781. You probably, it's old. Yeah. The Zong people, the captain lied. he could have, because he claims that because they ran out of water, they had to jettison the cargo. But as it turns out, the Zong was known to overstuff a ship with people, and if you overstuff a ship with people, slaves, they will get sick. So he had a sick cargo possibly coming into a port, and the sick cargo is not insured. That was not what the insurance was for. So, especially if you were caused the sickness. So he thought that jettison would be better. But it turns out from other information is that this story of there's not enough water was bogus, because he went by 8 ports. He could have stopped and replenished his water supply, and he didn't, because he was a liar. So he could have picked up water, and but then he would have had a sick cargo. So it's a breakthrough case, because there were already sentiments long time. In Europe, there's always been a long time sentiment from late Middle Ages that slavery is not great. It had already been sort of practically. It was actually banned in France from about 13th century. And practically banned almost everywhere else in Europe. You just didn't do it in Europe, but you still did it outside of Europe. But now in 1780s, people are starting to feel more uncomfortable with it by the second. And this case, which was about a cargo of people dying, being murdered. They were already sick, and somebody thought it was expedient to murder them. People dead. And I'll put some stats in here of how many, because we know how many. And all their, not even their crime, because they're supposed to be cargo, is that they're black. And people are starting to feel uncomfortable with this. And this case helped in feeling the uncomfortableness of it, because it got publicized. And once it became clear that this was absolutely a case of fraud, with people as collateral damage.
Effectively covering up murder.
Yes. But they were trying to come from the point, okay, people as possessions and people as people that you can murder and then be sent to jail for having murdered them, or hung, because that was the thing. Anyway, in the middle of this is our Dido, who is black enough that it's very obvious. She cannot pass for anything. So, and as a young lady, as turns out, a heiress, she has some money coming to her. But, and that's what the aunt and uncle say, we can't even put you out forward into society like that. That's not a thing. And so she, even whenever there is a dinner party at their house, when there's other people invited, she has to not be there. It's that bad. Yes. Peanut gallery is dropping open her mouth. It was that bad. And it's actually to protect her, because these people are fairly decent people for the time, but they want to protect her from. There is one moment where she comes into a situation where she is unprotected, and oddly enough played by Tom Felton, who is really good at playing your upper class a-hole. Yes, he's channeling Lucius Malfoy more than he's actually channeling Draco. It's definitely Lucius. And he tries to manhandle her when he gets her alone enough for that to do that. And that's this film is kind of a mix between an Austen style, sort of a Jane Austen style. It's not a romance. it's definitely a historical political drama, but it's very Jane Austen style in grandeur and manners, and so this guy going as far as to actually trying to manhandle her a little bit, just he pulls her on her arm, is shocking. And I think this film is very smart because yes, it talks about this Zong case, but they all talk about it. And in film the axiom is show and don't tell, and here it's correct to tell because she is standing as in a pretty dress on the side, hearing about this case, and that's her experience. So, and then something happens to her personally, and she sort of gets that hadn't happened to her before. She had been excluded in a lot of things, but she had never been personally attacked in any way. She had been excluded a lot. But her not sister, her cousin, who this sort of feels like they're sisters, and they feel like they're sisters, she has also been excluded. And the reason is that she doesn't have a big fortune coming to her. And so she gets excluded as well. And for different reasons. And that feels very Austen because she did that in her stories. So I think it is a little earlier than Austen would have been. Austen is usually about 1800 to 1795 to about 1815 is about what Austen is, and this is the 1780s. 70s, 60s, 70s, 70s, 1780s. So, but the sensibilities are pretty much the same. The girls both have to do the same thing, try to marry well. Even the gentlemen have to do the same thing. They have to try to marry well enough, and which is what the sister Elizabeth is in trouble for, because the guy she wants is looking for somebody with money, and she ain't got any. There is a nice gentleman for our lady. I'm not going to go into it. This is a movie that you absolutely should go and see. It's a lot of... this one's good. Yay! They even included a bit about the black hair, because once you see the original picture and the picture they did, because they did the painting in the movie as well, you see a very striking difference in her hair style. And I understand why they didn't do the hairstyle. She's wearing a turban in the old picture, but you do that now. It's that's a statement of another sort. I understand, but they wanted to. But if you don't do the turban thing, she's got to do something with her hair, and so she runs into problems with what to do with that hair because she has nobody to tell her until she comes to London, and there's a dark maid there, and she knows what to do with the hair. Thank you. And it teaches her how to manage the hair, because it's very pretty hair, but cumbersome if you don't know how to do with it. There are two things that I think should be kind of ahead. One is going okay, but the other one is going, They have a couple of scenes where the girls are both in different beds and talking to each other late at night. And I think they should have been in the same bed, because that's what they did in that time. Is you cozied up because there's no heating anywhere. You have a fireplace in the main area, and that's it. There maybe preheating for your bed in a stove, but then once that goes away, you know, two young ladies would have been sharing a bed, I think. So that was kind of okay. The other thing, and I think that is, Dido is too accomplished. She's the one who plays the piano well, and she can sing better, and all that kind of thing. It's going, I don't think that needs it. It's a thing that is used.
It's the magical Negro thing.
Yeah, more magical Negro, or magical any person that you need to find, that there's a reason why socially they should be less. You need to find a extra reason to whatever. And I don't think it needs it. It wasn't too horrible, but I don't think it needs it. This is already like 10, over 10 years old, so it was a sensibility then, I suppose. That's, I mean, if that's my only niggly about it, that's my really only niggly about it. It's beautifully played, well produced, pretty dresses. Uh, they are ridiculous of the time, but they were ridiculous in the time. So the hair, even they do the hair pretty. The hair at the time was a pretty simple updo, with lots of and a little thingy, and they kind of do that as well. I was very happy with that. I have no complaints. They looked at all the pictures and they looked at and they asked a fashion historian, I'm sure, because it looks like that they got the right prop department in, they got the right places in, they got the right person to write it, they got a great person to direct it. I will have to look out for this one. She's called Ama Asante, which I suppose I'm gonna look up the bio and put it here. Yay! This is how to make a historical movie. Please make me more. This is it! You know? And the subject matter, choice of subject matter, there is just so few information that you can fill out whether in every which way you like, and they included all the locals. Oh my god! Jeez! Best movie! You know? Highly recommend it. And that's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it.